Hey everyone, welcome back to Ontario Gardening. So the field berries are coming off like mad here, and so is the rhubarb, so what a perfect time to make and can up some strawberry rhubarb jam. I just want to start off this video by mentioning that I've been in the garden mulching all day, so this is mulch stain. My hands are not dirty. I just thought I should point that out because, you know, the internet is wild. But anyways, the first thing you're going to need for this is 3 cups of crushed strawberries, and that's about 2 quarts. A cup of diced rhubarb. That's going to be entirely up to you as to how big of rhubarb chunks you want in your jam. This was good enough for me, but you can go a little bit bigger. You could go a little bit smaller. I wouldn't recommend going a little bit too big because rhubarb's pretty bitter sometimes. Now, mind you, there's enough sugar in this recipe, but it can be bitter if you just chonk down on a hunk of it. So just keep that in mind. So 3 cups of the berries. You can do 3.5 if you want to just sweeten up a little bit extra. That's actually what I use. But about 2 quarts, the cup of rhubarb, half a teaspoon of real butter. You don't want to use margarine. A teaspoon of grated lemon zest. I want to just point out too, when you are using lemons, limes, citrus, anything like that in recipes, try for organic. I know that these are organic because I grew them myself here in the house, but you want to try for organic when you're using the zest because the peels of all your citrus hold pesticides like nobody's business. So use organic if possible, or if you grow them yourself, awesome. But you're using a teaspoon of the zest, a quarter cup of lemon or lime juice, and you want that bottled because that guarantees acidity. A packet of your local pectin, and 5.25 cups of white sugar. I'm going to cut it down to 5 in my recipe today because that's a lot, but 5.25 cups. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take a pot, and I should mention that this makes 6 to 7 half pints or jam jars. So take your pot that you're going to cook this down in, and we are going to add everything except for the sugar. So that 3.5 cups of the crushed strawberries. Side note, potato masher works very well. Or if you have a food processor, a couple pulses works really well for that too. You're going to want to crush it down to however chunky you want your jam. The chunkier the strawberries, the less volume it's going to take up in jars, so you would get less pints. The more broken down, it's going to create a little bit more extra volume. But anyways, you put all of this into your stock pot. So we've got the strawberries, your rhubarb, sorry, my hand's shaky, your lemon juice, your lemon zest, and your quarter teaspoon of butter, sorry, your half a teaspoon of butter, and your pectin on top. Now we're going to stir this all together, and we're going to put it on medium-high on our stove, and we're going to bring this to a boil. So mixing this around, and you'll see as it starts to warm up that the strawberries will start to release their juices. Everything's going to kind of melt down, and then it'll start to come to a boil. While this is going, I have got my water bath canner over here, and we are starting to bring that to a boil, and I've got my lids warming up over there. All of my sterilized jam jars are here, just waiting for me to fill them. Everything's good. So I will show you what this looks like when it gets to a boil, and then we'll do the next step. So this here is what boiling looks like. When I stir it, it continues to bubble. It's a continual boil. So this took about 5 minutes to get up here, and this is going to allow, I'm just doing this for a minute because it's allowing the rhubarb to soften and cook down just a little bit, so that when you do have your jam, you're not crunching into celery type pieces. So now we're at a rolling boil. At this point, we're going to add all the sugar at once, and then we need to get it back up to a rolling boil. But you're going to want to do that and continually stir it because we don't want that sugar to stick to the bottom and burn to the bottom. So here we are. It's a lot of sugar, friends. A lot of sugar. Like I said, you can cut down on this sugar, but we're gonna stir this all in, incorporate all of the sugar into the jam. Make sure we're continually stirring it because we don't want it to burn to the bottom. And we need to bring this back up to a full rolling boil. So that's when you stir it with your spoon, it doesn't stop bubbling. If it looks like it's boiling and then you stir it with your spoon, but then it's still, like it settles back down and doesn't bubble, it's not to a full rolling boil yet. I will show you what I mean when we get there. It'll probably take another couple minutes. Okay, so we're at a full rolling boil because at this point, when we do this and stir it, it continues to immediately bubble. So we added that butter so that there wasn't too much foam on the top. If you've ever made just straight strawberry jam, there's so much foam. The butter kind of helps cut that down, otherwise this would have been up and over the pot. But now that we're at a full rolling boil, we are going to time this out and let it boil. Stir that consistently so it doesn't do anything crazy. And we're going to leave that for 1 minute at a full boil, stirring consistently. And doing that is going to help get it to the temperature that we need to activate like pectin and such, and make sure that it sets once we can it up. So it's been about a minute. I'm going to stop. We're going to take this off of the heat, let it chill for just a second, come down, and then if there's any of the foam on top, and it's a lot of foam, we can go ahead and skim that off. If you don't care, cool. I personally don't. I don't think it's going to be enough foam for me to sit and skim off. But if you think that it's too much for you, feel free to take it off. But getting that off the heat, we are going to then transfer into our jam jars using our funnel and our ladle. See, once you take it off the heat and it's cooled for a second, honestly, the foam kind of just takes care of itself, unless it's like super foamy. Anywho's, let's get this ladle into the jar. We're leaving 1/4 inch head space at the top. So with mostly every canning recipe, and especially in a canning recipe like this where there's sticky jam, if you're anything like me, there's going to be jam everywhere. You have to wipe the rims, the top of the rims here where the lid is going to seal, with a damp either paper towel or cloth, because you want to get any debris off of the rim of that jar so that when you put the lid on, the seal is really good. So go ahead and wipe the rim. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the lids on each jar. And on each jar, we're going to put a band, and you want to do that fingertip tight, so don't over tighten it. And the reason we're doing that is because we don't want our lids to buckle when we put them into our canners. So go ahead and put all those lids on. And now we're going to go ahead and drop these into our water bath canner, and we are going to process them for we're going to process them for 10 minutes. I'm about to say 15 because you want to process them for 10 minutes, turn off the heat to your stove, to your canner, and then just let them sit for about 5 more minutes in the bath before you take them out. So it's a total of 15 minutes, 10 with the water actually boiling and processing. Turn it off, 5 minutes of just resting in there before you take them out. So I will see you in 15 minutes and show you what our jam looks like. Here is our jam. Gonna be so delicious. Also, if you don't want your cans to have this white powdery stuff on top, add like a tablespoon or 2 of vinegar to your boiling water when you are canning it in the water bath. And that'll get rid of this. I don't really care. I'll just wipe it off after. But yeah, talk to you soon. Bye.